Hello everyone, before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to our main character. Stay tuned for what happens next, as Emma and Liam's story takes an unexpected twist. Will their unlikely connection lead to something more? Comment yes if you want the next part. The following day, Emma stood in front of her small apartment, looking at the cracked doorframe, the dim hallway light flickering overhead. She had barely slept, replaying the events from the night before in her mind. The awkwardness, the embarrassment, the realization that she had sat at the wrong table yet. She couldn't help but feel something unexpected had happened. She had felt a spark with Liam, something that had caught her off guard. But it was just a mistake, wasn't it? Just a misunderstanding. Still, something lingered in the back of her mind as she walked into her apartment, shrugging off her coat and tossing it on the couch. As she sat down, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jenny. Emma, guess what? Liam's office called. He's been asking about you. He wants to meet again. Her heart skipped a beat. Why would Liam want to meet her again? They barely knew each other. And why had he seemed so different from the usual people she interacted with? In a strange way, he felt more genuine. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, unsure how to respond. She wanted to say something dismissive, but the truth was, she didn't want to let this go so easily. After a long moment of hesitation, she typed back, sure, why not? Let's meet. Hours later, Emma found herself sitting in a cozy cafe again, a place she felt comfortable. The sound of quiet conversations and clinking cups filled the air, and yet, there was an underlying feeling of tension inside her chest. The door chimed, and in walked Liam. He was dressed in a casual shirt and jeans, a far cry from the sharp suit she had seen him wear the night before. He looked different, more relaxed. He smiled when he saw her, and the warmth in his expression made her feel at ease instantly. Hey, Emma. Glad we could meet again, Liam said, sliding into the seat across from her. His voice was easy, like they had known each other for much longer than just one awkward meeting. I didn't expect to hear from you so soon, Emma replied, surprised by how normal their conversation felt this time. Her nerves had settled down, replaced by an odd sense of curiosity. I know it was a bit unexpected, Liam said, his tone soft and almost apologetic. But I was hoping we could pick up where we left off. If you don't mind, that is. I don't mind, Emma said, her smile slightly shy. She realized she didn't mind at all. There was something about Liam, something that made her feel like this mistake wasn't as awkward as she had first thought. The conversation flowed more easily than it had the night before. They talked about their lives, their dreams, and even their mistakes. Emma found herself sharing things she hadn't planned to, like how she always dreamed of opening her own art studio but didn't think it was possible with her current situation. She was used to dreaming quietly, in the shadows, because she didn't believe it would ever happen. But with Liam, there was a strange comfort, like he understood. It's funny, Emma said, a slight laugh escaping her. I never thought I'd be sitting here talking about my dreams with someone like you. You're so different from the people I'm used to. Liam raised an eyebrow, his expression thoughtful. What do you mean by that? I don't know, Emma shrugged, looking away for a moment. I guess you just seem real. I mean, I don't know anything about your life, but you're not like those guys I've met who always talk about business and money. You actually listen. Liam's smile softened, and he leaned back in his chair. Maybe that's because I'm not like most people you meet, he said, his voice dropping a little, as if he was letting her in on a secret. I've seen a lot, and it's not always what it seems. Emma's curiosity piqued. What do you mean by that? She asked, not expecting the intensity she felt in his gaze. For a moment, there was silence. Then Liam looked away, almost as if he was debating whether to continue. Let's just say, I'm not exactly who you think I am. Her heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? Liam leaned forward, lowering his voice. I don't usually let people in, but maybe, just maybe, I think I might want to start doing things differently. Emma wasn't sure what that meant, but she was starting to wonder if this whole situation, this weird mix of coincidence and chance, wasn't just a mistake after all. Maybe there was something more to Liam than he was letting on. Maybe, just maybe, there was more to this connection than she had ever expected. You're not really a tech guy, are you? Emma asked, trying to break the tension. She wasn't sure why she felt compelled to ask, but it seemed like the right thing to do. Liam looked at her, a flicker of surprise crossing his face before he smiled. No, I'm not, he admitted. But let's just say I have a lot more going on than I've let you see. Maybe one day, I'll tell you all about it. Emma couldn't help but feel intrigued. There was so much mystery surrounding him, and it only made her want to know more. But she also realized something else: she wasn't just interested in the mystery of his life. There was something real between them, something that made her want to explore this connection further. The afternoon faded into evening, and as they said their goodbyes, Liam made one more promise. I'll let you in on a little secret, Emma. I'm glad you sat at the wrong table that night. She smiled, her heart fluttering a little as she watched him walk away. Maybe this wasn't just a mistake after all. Maybe fate had something bigger in store. Stay tuned for what happens next. Will Emma finally uncover the truth behind Liam's secrets? Will their unexpected connection lead to something more? Comment yes if you want the next part. The next few days felt like a blur for Emma. Every time she thought about Liam, her heart would skip a beat. What had started as a simple mistake at a restaurant had quickly turned into something she couldn't ignore. She found herself thinking about him constantly, replaying their conversations over and over in her mind. There was an odd pull between them, something she couldn't quite explain. It was more than just curiosity, it was something deeper, something real. She had to admit to herself that she liked him. But there was still so much she didn't know. Liam was a mystery, and that mystery kept her on edge. It wasn't just the things he had said, but the way he had said them. She was beginning to see that there was more to him than met the eye, and even though she had only known him for a short time, she couldn't shake the feeling that something big was about to happen. One evening, as she was walking home from her shift at the cafe, Emma's phone buzzed. It was a message from Liam. I'm hosting a charity event this weekend. I'd love for you to be my guest. Her breath caught in her throat as she read the message. A charity event? It sounded important. And why would he want her there? They barely knew each other. Still, she couldn't deny the excitement building inside her. This was unexpected, but maybe it was the opportunity she had been waiting for. After all, when would she ever get a chance like this again? She quickly typed back, I'd love to come. Thank you for the invite. And just like that, she was committed to something that felt both exciting and terrifying. The day of the event arrived, and Emma was a bundle of nerves. She had spent hours trying to decide what to wear, finally settling on a simple black dress that was elegant without being over the top. She didn't want to look out of place, especially in a room full of wealthy people she didn't know. As she stepped out of her apartment, she glanced at the invitation in her hand. The venue was a grand hall downtown, and it looked like something out of a movie. She could hardly believe she was about to step into that world. When she arrived, she was greeted by a woman at the door who handed her a name tag and directed her toward the ballroom. The place was beautiful, the kind of extravagant that made Emma feel small. The chandeliers sparkled overhead, and the sound of soft jazz music filled the air. She felt like she didn't belong here, surrounded by people in designer suits and elegant dresses. But as she walked in, she saw Liam standing by the stage, talking to a group of people. His face lit up when he saw her. Emma, you made it, he said, his voice warm and welcoming. I'm so glad you could come. I wasn't sure I belonged here, Emma admitted, her voice low. This is all so fancy. Liam smiled, his eyes soft. You belong here more than anyone else, he said, his words making her feel more at ease. Come on, let me introduce you to some people. They spent the next hour mingling with guests, and Emma couldn't help but notice how different Liam seemed in this setting. He was confident, commanding even, but there was something about him that still felt genuine. He wasn't like the other people in the room, people who seemed to care more about their status than anything else. Liam actually cared about the cause of the event, about helping people, and it showed in everything he did. At one point, as they were standing by the refreshment table, Emma asked, "Why me? Why invite me to something like this? I'm just a waitress. I don't belong here." Liam looked at her, his expression serious for a moment before he broke into a smile. You may be a waitress, Emma, but you're also someone who sees the world for what it is, not just for what it looks like on the surface. I respect that. You're real. Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. She didn't know why, but in that moment, she felt like she had known Liam forever. There was something so comforting about him, something that made her feel safe. As the evening wore on, Emma found herself laughing and talking freely with Liam, something she never expected to happen in such an extravagant setting. There was no pretension, no hidden agendas, just two people enjoying each other's company. But just as the night was coming to a close, something unexpected happened. The event was winding down when the host took the stage to make a few closing remarks. Liam stepped forward to join him, and as the crowd quieted, Emma realized that something was happening. Liam wasn't just a guest at this event. He was the one who was being honored. Ladies and gentlemen, the host said, it is my honor to introduce our guest of the evening, Mr. Liam Parker. As many of you know, Liam is not just a successful entrepreneur but someone who has dedicated his time and resources to helping those in need. Emma's heart skipped a beat as she looked up at Liam. She had no idea that he was such a big deal. He wasn't just some guy she met by chance at a restaurant. He was a millionaire, a philanthropist, someone who had built an empire. And in that moment, everything changed for Emma. She realized just how much she didn't know about him and how much she was beginning to care. As Liam stepped forward to give his speech, Emma felt a sense of awe and disbelief. She had been so focused on their connection, on their conversation, that she had completely overlooked who he really was. But now, as she stood there, watching him speak so passionately about his work, she couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder at how fate had brought them together. Stay tuned for what happens next. Will Emma continue to get closer to Liam? Will the truth about his life and past finally come out? Comment yes if you want the next part. The next morning, Emma couldn't shake the events of the previous night. She kept replaying Liam's words in her mind, his smile, the way he spoke about helping others. She had spent the evening at an event filled with powerful people, and yet, in all that grandeur, it was Liam who stood out to her the most. The way he was genuinely engaged with everyone, the way he made her feel like she was someone important, even when she was just a waitress. But now, in the cold light of day, Emma found herself questioning everything. What had she gotten herself into? Who was Liam really, and why did he keep inviting her into his world? She sat in her small apartment, staring at her phone, trying to figure out what to do next. She had enjoyed their time together, but the reality of the situation was starting to weigh on her. Liam was a millionaire, a philanthropist. He was out of her league, in every way possible. She was just a waitress with big dreams but no clear path to get there. Still, something about him felt real. Something about the way he made her feel seen, even for just a moment, made her want to take a chance. But was she just fooling herself? Was this just some fantasy that would eventually come crashing down? Her thoughts were interrupted by a sudden message from Liam. Good morning, Emma. I've been thinking about you. I know we didn't get to talk much last night with everything going on, but I'd like to see you again. Let's have dinner tonight. I'll pick you up at 7. Her heart skipped a beat as she read the message. It had only been a few hours since the event, and here he was, wanting to meet again. She couldn't deny the excitement that bubbled up inside her. She quickly typed back, I'd like that. I'll see you at 7. The rest of the day passed in a blur as Emma tried to distract herself with work. But all she could think about was what Liam might want to talk about. Was this just a casual dinner? Or was there something more? By the time 7 o'clock rolled around, she was standing at the door, dressed in a simple but elegant dress she had borrowed from her roommate. It wasn't the most glamorous outfit, but she didn't want to stand out too much. She felt like she already did, just by being there. When the doorbell rang, Emma's heart raced. She opened the door to find Liam standing there, a confident yet kind smile on his face. He was dressed casually, but he still looked like he belonged in a magazine. His eyes softened when he saw her, and he held out his arm. "Shall we?" She nodded, trying to calm the fluttering in her chest. They walked out to his car, a sleek black vehicle that screamed luxury. Emma couldn't help but feel out of place as she slid into the passenger seat. Liam started the car, and for a moment, they drove in silence. The hum of the engine was the only sound between them. Finally, Liam spoke, his voice low and steady. "I'm glad you agreed to meet again, Emma. I've been thinking a lot about our conversation the other night." Emma turned her head to look at him, her curiosity piqued. "What about it?" she asked, her voice soft. He glanced over at her, a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "About you. About how different you are from everyone else I know. You don't pretend. You're real." He paused for a moment, as if searching for the right words. "I don't meet many people who are willing to just be themselves. Most people are so caught up in what others think of them." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. She had never thought of herself as special, just someone trying to get by. But hearing Liam speak like that, it made her feel like maybe she mattered more than she realized. They arrived at a small, cozy restaurant, not far from the city center. It wasn't the type of place Emma had imagined when Liam suggested dinner, but she liked that about him. It was simple, intimate, not the kind of place a millionaire would typically choose for a night out. The ambience was warm, with soft lighting and the faint smell of fresh herbs in the air. They sat at a corner table, and for a moment, everything felt right. As the evening progressed, they talked about everything and nothing at all. They shared stories from their childhood, their favorite books, their hopes and fears. Liam spoke about his work with his charity, and how passionate he was about making a difference in the world. But Emma couldn't help but notice that he was still holding something back. There was a side of him he wasn't revealing. And though she wanted to ask more, she didn't want to push him. Not yet. Finally, as dessert arrived, Liam looked at her with a soft expression. "Emma, I'm not asking you to believe me right now, but I want you to know something. I'm not like the others. I don't do things the way everyone expects me to. I'm not just about business, money, or status. I'm about something real. And I want to share that with you." Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She didn't know what he meant, but she could feel the sincerity in his voice. She reached across the table, her hand trembling slightly, and took his hand in hers. "I believe you," she said softly, the words coming out before she could stop them. For the first time in what felt like forever, Emma felt like she was being seen for who she truly was. And in that moment, she couldn't help but wonder, could this be the start of something real? Stay tuned for what happens next. Will Emma discover the truth about Liam's past? Will their connection grow even stronger? Comment yes if you want the next part. The following week passed by in a blur for Emma. She kept seeing Liam, every time feeling more comfortable in his presence. The awkwardness from their first meeting had slowly melted away, replaced by something else, something deeper. Their dinners became regular, and each time they spent together, Emma felt as if she was discovering more layers of Liam. He was not the businessman she had originally thought he was more than that. He was passionate, compassionate, and despite his wealth, there was a humility about him that she hadn't expected. But even though their connection was growing, Emma couldn't shake the nagging feeling that there was something he wasn't telling her. She knew there was more to his story. He had hinted at it before, but he had never opened up completely. One evening, as they sat together in a quiet cafe, Liam looked at Emma with a serious expression. There was something different in his eyes, a kind of vulnerability that she had never seen before. "Emma," he began, his voice soft, "there's something I've been meaning to tell you. I know I've been a bit vague about who I really am." He paused, running a hand through his hair, his gaze drifting away for a moment. "But I think it's time I stop hiding. I don't want to keep secrets from you." Emma's heart skipped a beat as she looked at him, waiting for him to continue. She could feel the weight of the moment, the tension in the air. Whatever Liam was about to say, she knew it was going to change everything. "Liam, you don't have to tell me anything if you're not ready," she said gently, her voice calm but full of concern. Liam shook his head, meeting her gaze with a look of determination. "No, I need to be honest with you. I've been keeping something from you, something that's been eating at me. The truth is, I'm not just a millionaire businessman. I've been hiding behind this persona for a long time. The truth is, I inherited everything. My fortune, my company, everything was handed to me on a silver platter." He paused, as if weighing his words. "I've spent my life trying to prove I deserve it. But lately, I've realized I've been living a lie. And I want to change that. I want to do something real, something that matters. That's why I started working with the charity. I want to make a difference." "But," he hesitated, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "But I'm afraid of what you might think. I don't want you to see me as just another rich guy with a title and a fortune." Emma listened quietly, her heart aching as she heard the vulnerability in his voice. She could sense how much this weighed on him. And though she was surprised by the confession, she wasn't as shocked as she thought she would be. She had always sensed there was more to Liam than the polished exterior. He was not just the successful businessman, was someone who, despite all his wealth, felt like he wasn't enough. After a long pause, Emma spoke softly, her voice full of understanding. "Liam, I don't care about your fortune. I care about who you are. You've shown me more kindness, more authenticity than I've ever experienced in my life. I don't need you to be perfect, or to have all the answers. I just want you to be you." She reached across the table, taking his hand in hers. "You don't have to hide anything from me. I'm here for you, no matter what." Liam looked at her, his expression softening. For the first time, he smiled in a way that felt truly genuine. "Thank you," he said quietly. "You don't know how much that means to me." The next few days passed in a haze of new possibilities. Liam seemed lighter, more at ease with himself. He continued his work with the charity, but now there was a sense of purpose behind his actions. He wasn't just doing it for the image, it was something he truly believed in. And Emma, too, began to see the world in a different light. She had always been focused on survival, on getting by day to day. But now, with Liam by her side, she started to believe that maybe she could pursue her dreams after all. Maybe, just maybe, she could open that art studio she had always dreamed of. One evening, as they walked through a park near Emma's apartment, Liam stopped suddenly and turned to her, his expression serious. "Emma, I've been thinking a lot about us," he said, his voice low. "And I need to know, do you think we can really make this work? I mean, with everything me past, my family, my future. Can you see a future with me?" Emma's heart skipped a beat at his question. She had never thought about it in those terms. Could they really make this work? Could someone like her, a simple girl with big dreams, find a place in a world like his? But looking at Liam, seeing the sincerity in his eyes, she knew her answer. "Yes," she said, her voice steady, though her heart raced in her chest. "I can see a future with you. I've always believed in second chances. And I think we both deserve one." She smiled, squeezing his hand. "Let's take this one step at a time, together." As Liam smiled back, his face lighting up with relief, Emma knew that this was just the beginning of something beautiful. They were both searching for meaning, for purpose, and for something real. And maybe, just maybe, they had found it in each other. Stay tuned for what happens next. Will Emma and Liam's journey take an unexpected turn? Will they be able to overcome the challenges ahead? Comment yes if you want the next part. Weeks passed, and Emma and Liam's connection deepened. They had become inseparable, spending more time together and growing closer with each passing day. For Emma, the relationship was more than just about Liam's wealth or status. It was about discovering someone who understood her, someone who saw her for who she truly was. She had always felt like an outsider, like she was never quite enough. But with Liam, she didn't feel that way. He made her feel like she mattered, like she was worthy of love and respect. And with each moment they shared, Emma started to believe in herself more and more. But as much as things were blossoming between them, Emma couldn't ignore the sense of unease that lingered in the back of her mind. Liam had been open with her about his past, about the struggles he had faced, but there was still a part of him that he hadn't shared. She could see it in his eyes whenever the topic of his family came up. He would deflect, change the subject. Emma knew there was more to the story, but she didn't want to push him too hard. She had learned that with Liam, patience was key. One evening, they were having dinner at his penthouse. The view from the floor-to-ceiling windows was breathtaking, the city lights shimmering below like stars. But Emma couldn't enjoy the beauty of the night, not when she could feel the weight of the unspoken words hanging in the air. "Liam, can I ask you something?" Emma said, her voice hesitant. "You don't have to answer if you don't want to, but why do you never talk about your family? I know you've told me a little, but it's like you're hiding something." Liam paused, his fork hovering midair. His expression changed, becoming guarded, the warmth in his eyes replaced by a distant look. "It's complicated," he said softly. "My family, they don't see eye to eye with me. They never have. I've been trying to make my own way for so long, to prove that I can be more than just the son of a wealthy man. They don't understand what I'm trying to do. And honestly, I don't want to get into it right now." Emma felt her heart sink. She could see the pain in his eyes, the way he was holding back. But she also understood. She knew what it was like to carry burdens in silence, to keep your struggles hidden from the world. "I get it," she said gently. "But you don't have to go through it alone, Liam. I'm here for you, whenever you're ready to talk. I just want you to know that." For a moment, there was silence between them, the only sound the soft hum of the city outside. Then, Liam set down his fork and reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I don't deserve you, Emma," he said quietly, his voice thick with emotion. "But I'm so grateful for you. You make me want to be a better man." Emma squeezed his hand, her heart swelling with affection for him. "You're already a better man than you give yourself credit for," she said softly. "You're kind, and you care about people. That's all that matters to me." They sat there for a while, just holding hands, letting the quiet of the moment wash over them. It felt like a turning point in their relationship, a moment of true vulnerability. Emma knew that Liam had a past he was still grappling with, but she also knew that they were in this together. She didn't need him to be perfect. She just needed him to be honest. The next day, Liam invited Emma to a family gathering, a dinner hosted by his parents. Emma hesitated at first, unsure if she was ready to dive into that part of Liam's life. But she knew that if they were going to move forward, she needed to understand more about where he came from. When they arrived at the grand estate, Emma couldn't help but feel a little out of place. The house was enormous, with marble floors and chandeliers that seemed to glow with wealth. Liam's family was exactly what she had imagined: polished, poised, and intimidating. They greeted Liam with cool politeness, but Emma could tell that they didn't exactly approve of her presence. During dinner, the conversation flowed smoothly at first, but Emma couldn't shake the feeling that there was tension in the air. It wasn't just between her and Liam's family, it was between Liam and his parents. Every now and then, his mother would glance at him with a disapproving look, and his father would speak in a tone that was just a little too sharp. Emma could see the way Liam withdrew into himself, becoming quieter, more distant as the evening went on. After dinner, as they were walking out to the car, Liam didn't speak. He seemed lost in thought, his expression tense. Emma didn't know what to say, so she simply stayed quiet, letting him process whatever it was that had happened. When they reached the car, Liam finally spoke, his voice low and strained. "I'm sorry," he said, his words heavy with regret. "I didn't want you to see that. My family, they don't get me. They never will. I wish I could make them understand, but I don't think I ever will." Emma stepped closer to him, placing a hand on his arm. "Liam, you don't have to explain. I'm not going anywhere. I know how hard this is for you, and I'm here for you. But you don't have to carry this weight alone anymore. I'm right here." Liam looked at her, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," he said softly. "You have no idea how much that means to me." Stay tuned for what happens next. Will Liam and Emma be able to navigate the complexities of his family? Can their relationship survive the challenges ahead? Comment yes if you want the next part. The following week, things between Emma and Liam seemed to be growing stronger, but there was still an undercurrent of tension whenever they talked about his family. The dinner at his parents' house had left both of them shaken. For Emma, it was a world she wasn't sure she could fit into, but for Liam, it was clear that the cracks in his relationship with his family were much deeper than she had realized. Still, he seemed determined to make things work between them, and that gave Emma hope. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she also knew that love was worth fighting for. One evening, as they were sitting on Liam's balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink, Emma turned to him, her heart heavy with the question she had been holding back for days. "Liam, do you ever think about what's next for us? I mean, with everything that's happened, with your family, with all the challenges, do you see a future with me?" Her words hung in the air, and for a moment, Liam was silent. He looked out at the horizon, his brow furrowed as he thought carefully about his answer. Emma could feel the weight of the question, and she held her breath, waiting for him to speak. Finally, Liam turned to her, his eyes soft but serious. "Emma, I've been thinking about this a lot. I know things haven't been easy. My family, my past, it's all been a mess. But you've changed my life. You've shown me what it's like to be real, to stop hiding behind the walls I've built. And when I look at you, I don't see the differences between us. I see everything we could be together." Emma's heart raced as she listened to his words. She had never been so sure of anything in her life. She had always feared that love would slip through her fingers, that she wasn't enough. But with Liam, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. He continued, his voice growing softer. "I want to build a life with you, Emma. I want to be with you, no matter what it takes. But we can't let the past hold us back. I need to let go of the things that have been weighing me down, and I need you to know that you're my future. We have to face this together, all of it. I can't do it without you." Emma felt a lump form in her throat, but she nodded, her heart swelling with emotion. "I want that too, Liam. I want to face the future with you. We'll figure everything else out as we go, one step at a time." Their eyes locked, and for a moment, everything else faded away. It was just the two of them, standing on the edge of something new. There was no perfect answer, no guarantee of what the future held, but in that moment, they both knew that they wanted to walk through it together. The next day, Liam made a bold decision. He contacted his family, telling them that he was ready to meet with them again, but this time, on his terms. He would no longer hide who he was or who he wanted to be. It was time for him to face the truth, to stand up for what he believed in, and to let go of the expectations that had been holding him back. That evening, Emma stood by his side as he walked into the family home once more. She could see the nervous tension in his shoulders, but she also saw the determination in his eyes. He was ready to take control of his life, and she would be there to support him, no matter what. As they entered the grand foyer, his parents stood waiting, their expressions unreadable. The room was heavy with unspoken words, but this time, Liam didn't hesitate. He stood tall, his hand firmly in Emma's, and faced them. "I'm not the person you want me to be," he said, his voice steady but full of conviction. "But I am the person I need to be. And I'm done pretending to be something I'm not. Emma and I are together, and I'm asking for your support, not your approval." The room was silent for a long moment. His mother's eyes softened, and his father, though still guarded, gave a slow nod. It wasn't an apology, but it was a step forward. It was the first time Liam had truly stood up for himself and for Emma. After the meeting, as they left the house, Liam turned to Emma, a sense of relief washing over him. "Thank you for being there with me," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "I don't think I could have done that without you." Emma smiled, her heart full. "You don't have to thank me. I'm here for you, always." As they walked down the steps together, hand in hand, Emma knew that their journey was just beginning. They still had challenges ahead, but together, they would face whatever came their way. And for the first time in a long time, she felt certain about their future. Stay tuned for what happens next. Will Liam and Emma continue to build a future together? Can their love withstand the trials ahead? Comment yes if you want the next part. The weeks that followed were filled with a mix of anticipation and uncertainty. Liam had taken a step toward healing, facing his family and starting to rebuild his relationship with them. It wasn't easy, and there were still many obstacles to overcome, but he was committed to making things work, not just for himself, but for Emma, too. Emma could see the change in him. He was no longer weighed down by the expectations of his family, and he was more confident than she had ever seen him. But even though they were growing closer, there was still one thing that Emma couldn't shake off: the fear that their love might not be enough to overcome everything. She couldn't help but wonder if their differences were too vast, if their worlds were simply too far apart. One evening, as they sat in Liam's penthouse, enjoying a quiet dinner together, Emma felt a sudden heaviness in her chest. The soft clink of the silverware and the gentle hum of the city outside seemed distant, almost irrelevant. Liam, as usual, was sitting across from her, his face relaxed and content. But Emma could see a subtle sadness behind his eyes. She hadn't been able to ignore it for days. It was like there was something he was holding back, something he wasn't ready to share yet. "Liam," she began softly, setting her fork down. "I know things have been better lately, but I can't shake the feeling that you're still carrying something. I need you to be honest with me. Are we really ready to face everything together?" Liam looked at her for a long moment, his eyes searching hers. He opened his mouth to say something but then paused, as if weighing his words carefully. Finally, he spoke, his voice low and vulnerable. "I'm scared, Emma," he admitted. "I'm scared that no matter how hard we try, we'll never fit into each other's worlds. You have your dreams, your life, your friends, and I have mine. I've been trying so hard to make this work, but I'm afraid that I'm not enough for you. That the distance between us emotionally and socially will tear us apart." Emma felt a pang in her chest as she heard the doubt in his voice. She had never seen Liam so uncertain before. She reached across the table and took his hand in hers, her touch gentle but firm. "Liam, you don't have to be perfect for me," she said, her voice steady. "You don't have to fit into my world, and I don't have to fit into yours. What matters is that we're here, together, and we're facing everything side by side. We can't control everything, but we can control how we face it together. You've already shown me more than enough. You don't have to be afraid of being enough for me. You already are." Her words hung in the air between them, and for a long moment, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the soft hum of the city outside and the steady beat of their hearts, as if the world had slowed down just for them. Then, Liam squeezed her hand, his face softening with a smile. "Thank you, Emma," he whispered. "I don't know what I'd do without you. You make me feel like I can actually breathe again." The rest of the evening passed in a quiet, comfortable silence, the tension between them easing as they both let go of the doubts and fears that had been holding them back. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt truly at peace. She knew there were still challenges ahead, but she also knew that she wasn't alone in facing them. With Liam by her side, she felt like they could overcome anything. As they stood together by the window, looking out at the city skyline, Liam turned to her with a serious expression. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about our future," he said. "And I need to know something. Are you ready to take the next step with me?" Because I'm ready to make this real, Emma. I want to be with you, no matter what happens. I want to build a life with you, one that's ours, not defined by my past or my family. Just you and me. Emma's heart fluttered in her chest as she looked at him, the weight of his words sinking in. She had known, deep down, that this moment was coming. She had known that they couldn't keep going in circles forever. They had to decide if they were ready to take the leap into the unknown together. Yes, she said, her voice firm but full of love. I'm ready. I'm ready for us, for everything that comes next. And just like that, the uncertainty that had been lingering between them melted away, replaced by the warmth of certainty. They weren't just two people from different worlds anymore, they were a team, a partnership, and they were ready to face whatever came next, together. Stay tuned for what happens next. Will Emma and Liam's decision to move forward bring them even closer? Or will the challenges they face tear them apart? Comment yes if you want the next part. Months passed, and with each passing day, Emma and Liam's relationship grew stronger. They faced challenges together, learned to communicate better, and discovered new things about one another. The weight of the past no longer held Liam back as much, and Emma found herself believing in her dreams again. She had started sketching plans for the art studio she always wanted to open, inspired by the belief Liam had in her and the strength of their bond. It wasn't perfect, there were still days when they doubted themselves or faced obstacles, but they were building something real, something lasting. One evening, after another successful charity event that Liam had organized, they stood on the balcony of his penthouse, watching the city lights flicker below them. The air was cool, but there was warmth in their presence. Liam turned to Emma, his expression serious, but his eyes filled with love. Emma, he began softly, his voice full of conviction. There was a time when I didn't know if I would ever find someone who would truly see me for who I am. Someone who would stand by me, no matter what. But with you, I feel like I've found that. I feel like I've found home. Emma's heart swelled as she listened to him. There were no grand gestures or dramatic speeches, just the sincerity in his words, the raw honesty that she had come to admire. She had always been afraid that love wouldn't last, that she wasn't worthy of it. But standing here with Liam, she knew that love was something they had built together, step by step. I never thought I'd get to this place, Emma replied, her voice quiet but steady. I never thought I'd be here, with you, building the life I've only dreamed about. I've always had doubts, but you've made me believe in myself. And I've come to realize something, that love isn't about perfection, it's about growing, supporting each other, and being there through the hard times. We've done that, Liam. And we'll continue to. Liam smiled, his hand reaching for hers, and as their fingers intertwined, Emma felt an overwhelming sense of peace. It wasn't just the grand moments or the fairy tale endings, it was the quiet moments like these that made it all real. You're right, Liam said softly. It's about growing together. And I want to keep doing that with you, Emma. Every single day. Without thinking, Emma reached up to gently touch his face, tracing the line of his jaw. And I want that too, Liam, she whispered. I want to keep building this with you. Together. They stood there, side by side, the city stretching out before them, both of them lost in the beauty of the moment. It was a simple promise, but a promise that meant everything. And as they stood there, Emma realized that this was just the beginning of the rest of their lives. In the days that followed, Liam and Emma continued to build their future. The art studio Emma had dreamed of opening slowly began to take shape, with Liam by her side, supporting her every step of the way. He helped her navigate the challenges, encouraged her when she doubted herself, and celebrated every small victory along the way. They knew there would still be obstacles, but they faced them together stronger, more united. One afternoon, as they were walking through the park, Liam turned to Emma with a mischievous smile. I've got a surprise for you, he said, his eyes gleaming. Emma raised an eyebrow, intrigued. What is it? He didn't say another word, but reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small box. When Emma opened it, her breath caught in her throat. Inside was a simple, elegant ring, one that sparkled under the sunlight. It was understated but beautiful, just like their journey together. Emma, Liam said, his voice filled with emotion. I've found my home in you. And I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me? Emma's heart raced, and tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at him, knowing that this was the moment she had always dreamed of. Yes, she whispered, her voice full of love and certainty. Yes, I will marry you. As Liam slipped the ring onto her finger, they both knew that this was more than just a proposal. It was the culmination of everything they had been through, everything they had built together. It was a promise of forever, and they were both ready to embrace it. Stay tuned for what happens next. Will Emma and Liam's marriage be the beginning of a new chapter? How will their love continue to grow? Comment yes if you want the next part.